Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into Chapter 1 of the NISM XV curriculum. But look, I really don't want you to see this as just another study guide or some boring exam hurdle you have to jump over. Think of this as your literal roadmap to an incredibly influential, dynamic career in finance as a research analyst. We're going to break down the foundational principles of this profession, and we'll be using the official guidelines to light the way. So, to truly get a handle on what this profession is all about, we first need to understand the exact problem it solves. Think about the everyday investor's dilemma for a second. Everyone wants to conquer the stock market, right? Investors desperately want to deploy their capital and actually make profitable investments. But, well, here's the massive roadblock. Proper, effective market research is an incredibly time-consuming process. I mean, digging through financial statements, trying to understand macro market trends, evaluating company leadership. Who actually has the time for all of that while working a full-time job or running a business? It's almost impossible. And that gap between the desire to invest and the time required to do it safely is exactly where you step in. And we aren't just pulling these concepts out of thin air. This framework comes directly from the official NISM XV certification notes. This is absolutely the gold standard for aspiring analysts. By grounding our understanding in these official documents, we're making sure that you're learning the precise, strictly defined industry standards and rules that actually govern the financial sector in the real world. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll define the core research analyst role. Then, we'll explore the different types of analysts to help you choose your track. After that, we'll cover the crucial roles of client interaction. And finally, we'll build out your essential professional toolkit. Let's get right into it. Section 1, the research analyst role. This is all about bridging raw data and actual investment decisions. Basically, a SEBI-registered research analyst is a professional hired to help investors make informed decisions. And why are they hired? Again, because research just takes immense time. You are essentially selling your time and your expert analytical eye. Clients hand over all the heavy lifting to you so they can deploy their capital with total confidence. And earning that official SEBI-registered title, that validates your expertise. It gives you the legal authority to provide this critical, highly sought-after service. So, what does the daily grind actually look like? Well, your primary job is wrangling raw data. You're out there hunting down profits, identifying revenue streams, and tracking cash flows. But you aren't just staring at chaotic spreadsheets in a dark room all day. The official notes explicitly highlight that interacting directly with the companies you cover is a vital part of this process. You need to look beyond the numbers, ask pointed questions directly to the company's management, and gather the actual human intelligence necessary to form a complete picture of their financial health. Section 2, Types of Research Analysts. Now that we know the job, let's talk about choosing your specific career track. The absolutely crucial point here is the massive difference in business models. Think of the sell-side analyst almost like a traditional broker setup. These professionals usually work for investment banks or large brokerages. The research is often publicly available, and they provide very specific recommendations, buy, sell, or hold. So how do they make money? Their income is generated through brokerage fees when clients actually execute trades based on those recommendations. Now contrast that with the independent research analyst. They operate much more like a specialized subscription service. These are your full-time RAs working in boutique firms. They sell their deeply customized research reports on a subscription basis, maybe monthly, quarterly, or annually. And because they charge these upfront subscription fees, they take zero brokerage fees. They don't have direct investments tied to the recommendations, which provides a completely different flavor of objectivity. It is an entirely different way to monetize your analytical skills, and understanding the split is super important for mapping out your career. Section 3, Rules of Client Interaction. Let's dive into the ethical guardrails out in the field. Of course, with great financial insight comes great responsibility. Dealing with highly sensitive financial data requires some very strict professional boundaries. The curriculum notes highlight a very specific, non-negotiable rule when interacting with clients and companies, and I want to quote it directly for you. It says, "but after taking consent only." It will act as a proof in case of conflict. When you're having conversations, gathering data, or recording interactions, securing explicit consent is not just bureaucratic red tape. It is a vital protective measure. In the high-stakes world of finance, disputes and conflicts of interest absolutely will arise. Having documented consent acts as your ultimate proof, shielding you and your firm from liability. It's all about maintaining unshakable integrity at all times. Section 4, Essential Analyst Qualities. Let's finish up by building your professional toolkit. Now, I really don't want you to view this just as a boring list to memorize for the NASM exam. Think of these as the daily habits of top-tier professionals. First off, you gotta have a curious and inquiring mind. You must always be ready to ask the next logical question. You also need a deep knowledge of different data sources. Knowing exactly where to hunt down the numbers matters just as much as knowing how to read them. You also need a really potent mix of quantitative skills to crunch those numbers, and qualitative skills to assess things like management competence. And you absolutely must have clarity in decision-making. In the markets, hesitation literally costs you money. Furthermore, all the brilliant data analysis in the world is completely useless if you can't communicate your thesis to a client without putting them to sleep. You have to be attentive and articulate. On the technical side, hands-on Excel skills and absolute clarity in fundamental financial concepts are your daily bread and butter. And finally, the very best analysts are always eager to learn. The market is a living, breathing entity, so you have to stay constantly up to date with relevant data. So, as we wrap up this explainer, the roadmap is laid out. The required skills are clearly defined. The markets are constantly moving, generating endless streams of data every single second of the day. The real question is, do you have the relentless drive, the curious mind, and the ethical grounding to step up and make sense of it all? The stock market is out there waiting for those who are willing to do the heavy lifting so that others don't have to. Keep this roadmap close as you continue your journey and never ever stop asking the next